Senate will come to order. The senators will take their seats. Those persons not entitled to the privileges of the floor will retire to the gallery. Good morning, senators. Good morning, guests. Senators and those in our gallery, if you are able, please rise. We will be led in prayer this morning by Ahmed Mahdi Hussein of Dar Al-Hijar Masjid of Falls Church. Following the prayer, will everyone please remain standing, and we will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America by Ishan Jain, Senate page of McLean.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Let's pray. In the name of God, the most merciful and compassionate, we gather here today as a diverse community representing various faiths and backgrounds. We acknowledge and appreciate the beauty of our differences, recognizing that you have created us into diverse nations and tribes. In this gathering, we seek your guidance and blessing. Grant us wisdom to understand and respect one another, to appreciate the richness that diversity brings to our lives. Help us to see beyond our differences and focus on the shared value that unite us all: love, compassion, justice, and peace. As we come together with open hearts, we ask for your mercy to blanket us and your light to illuminate our paths. May our interactions be filled with understanding, kindness, and harmony. Guide us in our pursuit of unity, and may our collective efforts contribute to a world where compassion overcomes discard. Almighty God, Lord, bless our nation and the wonderful state of Virginia, and all of us residents with strength and resiliency. Bring our diverse nation together in unity and safeguard the ideas that were the basis of its creation. In your name, the most gracious, the most merciful, Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The clerk will call the roll. All those present, please vote aye. The clerk will close the roll.
You have a quorum, Madam President. Senate Journal for Wednesday, January 17, 2024.
The senator from Petersburg, Senator Aird, moves that the reading of the journal be waived. All in favor of waiving the reading of the journal will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 1.
Ayes 38, noes 1. The reading of the journal is waived. The clerk will report any communications from the House of Delegates.
We do not have any, Madam President.
The clerk will report any communications from the governor.
We do not have any, Madam Clerk.
We have again arrived at the time in our morning hour when we will hear all about our wonderful guests in the gallery. And what we will do is your senator will call on you, and please rise at that time so we can hear and see who you are. And if you'll hold your applause until after I speak, then we'll give you a sounding welcome. And so with that, I do call on Senator Salim, the senator from Central Fairfax County.
Madam President, I rise for an introduction.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to introduce Ahmed Hussein, who just did the invocation. Thank you for giving the warm welcome. Brother Ahmed Hussein arrived in the United States in the early 80s to pursue higher education. After his homeland disintegrated into civil war, Ahmed started on the path to U.S. citizenship in pursuit of the American dream through education, determination, and commitment to hard work. With his can-do attitude, he worked in several occupations to make ends meet and to afford his studies in college. Ahmed is a resident of Fairfax County and has worked for the Fairfax County government in areas of land development and building construction. Ahmed also worked for Department of Defense during Operation Restore Hope, when U.S. troops conducted operations to stabilize Somalia and address several other issues. In addition, Ahmed worked at the Department of Commerce as a patent examiner and in the private sector supporting DoD. He has also worked at the Department of State and several U.S. embassies across the world with the Federal Aviation Administration since 2001. He is currently a program director for cybersecurity policy and training. He is joined in the gallery by other visitors to the Capitol today on Muslim Advocacy Day. Please join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate to Brother Ahmed Hussein.
Good morning. Good morning. I guess I should say good afternoon. No, please remain standing. And we want to thank you for your prayer and thank you for coming here to grace us with your presence. And your can-do attitude will take you very far, and yours has taken you very far indeed. And thank you for what you've done to help the Somalis as they came to America. And senators, let us give him the warm welcome of his Senate. Senator Salim.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for an introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Madam President, I would like to recognize many of our Muslim guests today. Today is Muslim Advocacy Day. Virginia Muslims are 400,000 strong and are represented today by the following organization: the Virginia Council of Muslim Organizations, MOVE, the VA Muslim Chamber, Muslim Association of Virginia, DAH Islamic Center, All Dulles Area Muslim Society, West End Islamic Center, ICNA Alexandria Center, Muslim American Society DC, McLean Islamic Center, American Turkish Friendship Association, and the Islamic Center of Richmond. Please join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate to these many Muslim advocates from across the Commonwealth.
Good afternoon to you. Thank you so very much for coming and seeing your Senate in action, and thank you for what you do in our wonderful communities and where you live. It's so good to see all of you. Senators, let us give them the warm welcome of their Senate. Chair calls on Senator Boysko, the senator from Northern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for two introductions.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Today we have many people who represent the arts in our Capitol Square today, and the Virginia for the Arts is a statewide nonprofit organization that is dedicated to adequate funding for the arts and broad education for Virginia's citizens about the importance of art and culture to Virginia's communities economically and from quality of life perspective. The arts are a vital part of our economy. They are an important part of our education system, and they enrich our lives, both the practitioners of art and those of us who are just observers of art. The arts inspire creativity, teach us new ways of looking at the world, and help us learn about other cultures that are particularly important in the global economy. So today we have Damon Effingham, who is representing my community, Wolf Trap, the National Park, which is the Foundation for the Performing Arts, Aaron Harms, and Sarah Chapin of Signature Theater. And I ask that you give them a very warm Senate welcome.
Yes, thank you for being here, and we get to hear about all the wonderful things that your organization does, and indeed we do need the arts because it claims to calm the beast in us. So thank you for being in that area. Senators, let us give them the warm welcome of their Senate. Senator Boysko.
Madam President, today I am very proud to introduce a group of professionals who I would argue that each and every one of us have had an interaction at one time or another in our lives, and that is the nurses. Today we have the Virginia Nurses Association joining us in the gallery. And I thank you all for all that you do for us. The nurses represent Virginia's Nurses Association represents more than 120,000 registered nurses in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And I must say, my mother got us back on track when she was a young mom going back to school to become a registered nurse. And, you know, I thank that profession every day, having received a lot of health care in the past. I hope it will be your pleasure to welcome the nurses who are advocating on behalf of their profession and their patients today. Thank you.
Not a one of us has not been so glad that there was a nurse to help us. And in fact, some of us, we are always, where's the nurse? We need a nurse. Thank you for being in that profession. And you do see so many different levels of health care, even at the end of our lives. And it can be very stressful. So thank you for continuing there. It was a nurse who helped to raise me. For eternally grateful. Senators, let us give them the warm welcome of their Senate. Chair recognizes Senator Marsden, the senior senator from Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for an introduction.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. With us today is the Virginia Foundation for Healthy Youth Y Street volunteers. These young people are here to help us make healthy choices by reducing and preventing youth tobacco and e-cigarette use, substance abuse, and childhood obesity. Established by resolution of the General Assembly, the Virginia Healthy Youth Day is an annual event hosted by the Virginia Foundation for Healthy Youth, of which I happen to be a board member. And this event is hosted by the Virginia Foundation for Healthy Youth, and it does promote these healthy lifestyles for young people. These are all volunteers who are part of this effort, and I would ask that they be given the warm welcome of the Senate.
Welcome, youths, or as we say in New York, youths. At your young age, for you to voluntarily want to help others, especially in your age group, to understand how to live a healthy life is a blessing because it follows them as they move into the various areas of their lives. So thank you for doing that. Senators, let us give them the warm welcome of their Senate. Chair recognizes the junior senator from Enrico, Senator Val Valkenburg.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I rise for an introduction.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Today in the gallery, we have members from the Virginia School Counselor Association. The Virginia School Counselor Association is a state chapter of the American School Counselor Association and the only counselor association in Virginia that is solely for and by school counselors. They help Virginia students achieve social, emotional, academic, and career success. And as a now longtime teacher and parent, time catches up to you, know what I'm saying? I know how important counselors are to the team that help craft a successful student, right? They're vital, their work is vital. Every year when I come down here, I spend the last 2 weeks in the counselor's office making sure all my babies are going to be all right while I'm gone for 2 months. And they do that for every kid in the Commonwealth, and so please give them a warm Senate welcome.
Good afternoon to you. And boy, do we need our counselors. Do we need our school counselors? I know that so many of us have been able to come down and you've helped us to decide the courses to take, the schools to apply to, the various forms to complete. You are very necessary in our education ecosystem. Thank you. Senators, let us give them the warm welcome of their Senate. The senator from Norfolk, Senator Williams-Graves.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for the purpose of an introduction.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Visiting us today in the Capitol are the esteemed members of the Virginia Fire Chiefs Association. The Virginia Fire Chiefs Association is a nonpartisan organization that was formed in 1930 with the mission to serve Virginia's communities by advancing fire and rescue services through leadership, education, and advocacy. Today, they are advocating for funding to ensure high-quality fire and EMS service for every resident and visitor across every region of our great Commonwealth. And for that, we are very grateful. Madam President, I ask that you and the members of the Senate join me in giving the Virginia Fire Chiefs Association and their members a warm Senate welcome.
Good afternoon, Chiefs. Thank you for being here. You know, so often I ask young firefighters, why did you want to become a firefighter? They said their uncle did it, their dad did it, their grandfather did it. It's a family affair, and it just shows the dedication that generation to generation wants to serve. Thank you for what you do. Senators, let us give them the warm welcome of their Senate. Senator McPike, the senator from Prince William County.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for the purpose of an introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Today in the gallery, we have CASA, and I would like for them to stand and be recognized today. They're here for their annual advocacy and lobby day. And members are here to discuss crucial issues such as health care, housing, minimum wage, and with a remarkable presence of over 150,000 Latinos, immigrants, and working class individuals, CASA is dedicated to enhancing the quality of life of working class communities all across our Commonwealth. CASA focuses on 3 core pillars: community organizing, community services, and community advocacy. And I've seen that, Madam President, in the work in my community in Prince William and all around, and they just do such a fantastic job in helping people, and ask that you provide them the warm welcome of the Senate, Madam President.
Thank you for being here, and good afternoon to you. It's such a wonderful thing that we get to advocate about our issues, and we're not afraid to do that. Thank you for being here. Senators, let us give them the warm welcome of their Senate. Chair recognizes Senator Bagby, the senior senator from Henrico County.
Good morning, Madam President.
Good morning.
Madam President, I rise for an introduction.
The senator may continue.
Thank you. Madam President and members of the Senate, joining us in the gallery and standing today are members of the Virginia Independent Auto Dealers Association. They proudly represent over 3,600 independent auto dealers, which make up 80% of all licensed dealerships in the Commonwealth, and 84% of those dealerships are family-owned and operated small businesses. Independent dealers are an important part of the Commonwealth economy, employing over 20,000 salespersons and staff. I ask that you grant them the warm welcome of the Senate.
Good afternoon to you also. And I heard a number that brings warmth to my heart. 20,000 jobs. That's real taxpayers. And as you know, we absolutely need that money to help us to forward our Commonwealth. So thank you for seriously being job creators, and we look forward to even more jobs from you. Thank you for what you do. Senators, let us give them the warm welcome of their Senate. Chair recognizes the senator from Petersburg, Senator Aird.
Madam President, I rise for an introduction.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, today visiting the Capitol is the Virginia Community Violence Coalition, and if they are in the gallery, I ask that they please stand. They are a community-based organization that is a collective force comprising of numerous practitioners, advocates, city leaders, researchers, healthcare providers, and survivors. The Virginia Community Violence Coalition's vision is a Virginia where every individual can live and thrive without the constant threat of violence. Communities, they are committed to evidence-informed community-based solutions through a public health lens that coalition advocate for a substantial local, state, and national investments. With a dedicated focus, their goal is to position Virginia as a regional and national leader in the comprehensive approach to addressing community violence. I ask that you join me in giving them a warm Senate welcome.
Good afternoon to you as well. And kept hearing community, and we're seeing so many community-based organizations come through. And what it tells us is that you know that you can bloom right where you are planted and be so very effective right in your own neighborhood. Thank you for what you do. Senators, let us give them the warm welcome of their Senate. Chair recognizes Senator Mulcahy, the senator from Mecklenburg.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for an introduction.
The senator may continue.
Actually, I have 3 introductions. Would you like for me to do them all at one time?
No, Senator. One at a time would be
One
fine.
at a time. This is at the request of the Lieutenant Governor, Madam President. Veli Dietrich Hall, if she's in the gallery, please stand. Veli is from Charlotte County, a president of HPS Enterprises, Inc., a management and consultant firm for U.S. Department of Defense. She is a national appointee under the 3 successive elected U.S. presidents, also appointed at office of the Governor of Virginia's Commission on Volunteerism and National Service, and elected vice chair with Virginia Service Foundation under Governor McDonnell and McAuliffe. Veli served as a trustee of Randolph-Macon Women's College on the governing board of independent colleges and universities and the American Council of Trustees and Alumni, a board of director of the American Red Cross, the Washington, D.C. Asian American Chamber of Commerce, as president of the Edsall West Civic Association in Northern Virginia. Veli is a proud daughter of USAFEE World War II Army veteran, a recipient of the first and only U.S. Congressional Gold Medal. Let's give her a warm Senate welcome.
Thank you, Veli. Clearly, you are, you've got service in your blood, and I don't think you know how to say no or how to stop. But if you did, you wouldn't be where you are today. Thank you for caring, is what you're doing. Senators, let us give her the warm welcome of her Senate. Senator Mulcahy.
Next, I'd like to introduce Philippine Air Force Brigadier General Plaza. She is a Filipino visitor. She is currently the wing commander of the 1st Air Force Wing Reserve in Metro Manila. She was a 3-term Congresswoman of Agasan and the Director General of the biggest export agency, the Philippine Economic Zone Authority. Brigadier General Plaza holds a PhD in Peace, National, and International Security Management, a specialist in public administration and governance and in business administration. She's a recipient of various and in business administration. She is the recipient of various executives courses abroad, where she finished the senior executive courses at the JFK School of Government at Harvard University, at the Asian Pacific Center on Security Studies in Hawaii, Conflict Resolution Studies and Management in Australia, and at the U.S. National Guard's FEMA School in California on preparing and managing the consequences of terrorism. Brigadier General Plaza is presently consultant to various business companies and government agencies specializing on investments, marketing, and promotion. She is a part-time educator and inspirational speaker in the different fields of her specialization. Let's give her a warm Senate welcome.
Brigadier General Plaza, I don't know where the sleep comes in that resume, but clearly you are a very talented woman. Thank you so much for what you do. And indeed, our Filipino community is an integral part of our fabric here in the Commonwealth. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, please let's give her the warm welcome of the Senate. Senator Mulcahy.
Next, I would like to introduce Paige Gillum Hardy. She has owned and operated a home beautifying business for 25 years, operated a daycare facility for 22 years, and a famous line country dance instructor for 9 years. Her dance team has featured on Nashville Dance Saloon in Knoxville on Club Dance, and the team was regularly featured on the TV dance shows in the 1990s. Paige is a loyal patriot, a native of Southside, Virginia, who now lives in Farmville area with her husband, John, an elected Farmville councilman, and she is a sister to the chairman of Farmville Board of Supervisors. Both officials are successful local business owners. Let's give Paige a warm welcome.
Thank you, Paige, for your part in job creation as well and bringing attention to Virginia, ergo tourism. Thank you for that. Senators, let us give her the warm welcome of her Senate. Resolutions, petitions, and bills are now in order. Senator Suderline.
Madam President, I'd like to send this bill to the desk.
Thank you, Senator. Chair now recognizes Senator Locke, the senator from Hampton, for the purpose of presenting the committee nominations report.
Madam President, I request that the committee nominations report on the Senate standing committees be taken up.
The clerk will read the report.
2024 Senate Standing Committees. Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources. Senator Marsden, Chair. Senators Obenshain, Stewart, Stanley, Suderline, Favola, Hashmi, Hackworth, Subramanian, William Graves, Perry, Prakarsky, French, Salim, and Mulcahy. Local Government. Senator McPike, Chair. Stanley, Hackworth, Suderline, Bagby, Sturtevant, McGuire, Aird, Van Valkenburg, Rome, Subramanian, Williams Graves, Durant, Diggs, and Prakarsky. Privileges and Elections. Senator Rouse, Chair. Deeds, Eben, Hackworth, D-Stuff, Sturtevant, McGuire, Van Valkenburg, Rome, Carol Foy, Durant, Perry, Diggs, Salim, and Mulcahy. Transportation, Senator Boysko, Chair, Marsden, D-Stuff, Suderline, Hashmi, Hackworth, Bagby, Sturtevant, McGuire, Aird, Rome, Williams-Graves, Diggs, Perkarski, and Mulcahy.
Chair again recognizes Senator Locke, the senator from Hampton.
Madam President, I move that the committee nominations report be adopted.
The question is, shall the report be adopted? All those in favor of the adoption of the report will say aye. I am sorry, this is a recorded vote. All those in favor of the adoption of the report will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, no 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The committee nominations report is adopted. Is there any other business to come for the morning hour? Hearing none, the clerk will call the calendar.
Senate calendar for Thursday, January 18th, 2024. Uncontested calendar. Senate bills on third reading.
Chair recognizes Senator Sorovell, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Good afternoon, Madam President.
Good afternoon.
Madam President, I move that the Senate bills on third reading, the uncontested calendar on pages 1 through 7, Senate bills 12 through 362, be placed on their final passage in the block. Any senator desiring to remove a bill from the block, please do so after the clerk has called the number of the bill.
The question is, shall the Senate bills on the uncontested calendar, third reading, pages 1 through 7, Senate bills 12 through 362, be placed upon their final passage in the block with the understanding that any senator desiring a bill to be removed from the block will do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill. All those in favor of that motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The bills are before us in the block. The clerk will read the number of the bills.
Senate Bill 12. Senate Bill 51. Senate Bill 48. Senate Bill 49. Senate Bill 89. Senate Bill 106. Senate Bill 169. Senate Bill 189. Senate Bill 2. Senate Bill 21. Senate Bill 24. Senate Bill.
Madam President. Sorovell.
Senator Sorovell, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you. Can Senate Bill 211 come out of the block, please?
Without objection, Senate Bill 211 on page 5 is out of the block.
Senate Bill 254, Senate Bill 262. Senate Bill 309, Senate Bill 362.
Madam President, rise for a parliamentary inquiry.
The senator from Hanover has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I rise for a parliamentary inquiry, not because I don't know the answer, but we have a lot of new members, and I think this is the first time it's occurred on the calendar. But my inquiry would be on page 3 of the calendar, Senate Bill 106. Does that require the simple majority vote of the body? Or because there's an emergency clause, is there an elevated vote requirement for passage?
I would answer the senator that it has an emergency clause and therefore it requires a 4/5 majority, which means we need 32 votes for it to pass.
Thank you, Madam President.
For what purpose does the senator from Roanoke County rise?
Madam President, can Senate Bill 309 please come out of the block?
Without objection, Senate Bill 309 is out of the block. The question now is, Senator Sturtevant. The question is, shall the bills in the block pass? That is, all bills except for Senate Bill 211 on page 5 and Senate Bill 309 on page 27. Senate Bill 309 on page 6. Thank you. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The bills in the block pass.
Page 5? What? You say page 5. Senate Bill 211. On page 5, Senate Bill 211.
Chair recognizes Senator Perry, the junior senator from Loudoun.
Madam President, I move the bill pass and speaking to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
Yes, Madam President, this is a bill that relates to the provision of the code that deals with stalking protective orders, as they're commonly referred to. Stalking protective orders, dating partner relationship protective orders. The bill also has an amendment to it that deals with the venue related to domestic violence protective orders. I'm particularly proud of this bill, having spent a good portion of my career as a prosecutor working with victims of domestic violence, victims of stalking, victims of dating violence, to put this bill forward to ensure that we are able to prosecute these crimes and keep these victims and survivors safe. I had asked the members of the Senate to support the passage of the bill.
Chair recognizes Senator Surreville, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. Will the senator from senior senator from Loudoun rise for a question?
The senior senator.
Junior. Sorry, junior.
Will
my bad.
The junior senator yield for a question?
Yes, Madam President.
Senator Perry yields. Senator Surreville has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. You know, for those of us that went to law school, in our very first class of civil procedure class, one of the very first things that we have to learn on the very first week we're there is what the difference is between residence and domicile. And I was curious if she could explain to the body, enlighten the body, what the difference is, because sometimes we have issues with residence and domicile here. And this bill uses the word residence.
Senator Perry has the floor.
Yes, Madam President. I, like the much older senator from Fairfax, Eastern Fairfax, also went to law school, though much more recently, due to my younger age. And domicile and residency are often two different terms that can be confused and intermingled, but do mean different things. Residency can be where you live at any given time, domicile being the place that you call home.
Senator Surreville.
Sure. Will the senator yield for another question?
Will the senator from Loudoun yield, the junior senator, for another question?
No.
Senator does not yield.
Madam President, yes, I will.
The senator relents. The senator will yield. Senator Surreville has the floor.
Good, I appreciate that. So, Madam President, you know, one of the things we do in law school, at least the professors like to do, is engage in lots of hypothetical scenarios to help us get through our law school problems. And I have a hypothetical for you. So I want to, you know, my mother's family is from Franklin County. And there's a pretty good chance that I'm related to the senator from Franklin County, although we haven't quite figured that out yet. But just assuming for the sake of argument that he and I are cousins, and assuming for the sake of argument, I've also read that down in Franklin County that elected officials down there like to bump into each other at campaign events and charge each other with things. And just assume for the sake of argument that I just happened to be walking through the chamber and I got bumped by the senator from Franklin because he just can't help himself, and I have to get a protective order against him. And so then, assuming for the sake of argument, I got this protective order against the senator from Franklin County. I'm hanging out here in Richmond during session, and being very clever as he is and an excellent lawyer as he is, he sneaks over the border into North Carolina and makes a phone call to me in violation of his protective order. Where would your bill allow that charge to be brought?
Senator Perry has the floor.
Madam President, first I would counsel the senator from Eastern Fairfax that it would be difficult for you to obtain a protective order in the first place because of the code language surrounding what is required for obtaining of a protective order from someone accidentally bumping into you. So I'm not sure that this hypothetical situation would ever play out. I can point you in the direction of the code sections related to protective orders if you need some help with that. Non-intimate partner protective orders would be the applicable section. But if someone did give you a protective order, despite you not qualifying statutorily for one, then my bill would permit you as the senator from Eastern Fairfax to obtain a protective order where you live, where your domicile is, or your residence in this case, which would be Fairfax.
Madam President, will she yield for another question?
Will the senator yield for yet another question?
One more.
Be my pleasure, Madam President.
The senator yields. Senator from Eastern Fairfax County has.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, I can appreciate the fact that she's not very intimidated by Senator Stanley, but I am very scared by him anytime he bumps me, but which necessitates need for the protective order. But I would just ask further, given that I actually domicile is different from residence, given that my domicile is in Fairfax County, but for 5-6 days a week, I happen to be staying in a hotel about 2 blocks from here. Isn't it possible that I could actually bring my protective order charge here in the city of Richmond, because that's my residence, for at least 5 or 6 days a year, even though my domicile is in Fairfax, where I'm registered to vote and where I live full time? Senator
Perry has the floor.
Madam President, I think it's an interesting question. I think that the senator from Eastern Fairfax, I think his residence would still be Eastern Fairfax.
All right, well, we'll see about that. All right. Thank you, Madam President.
The question is, shall Senate Bill 211 pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, nays 0.
Madam Clerk? I'm not sure I heard the...
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, noes 0. Senate Bill 211, very first bill for Senator Perry, passes.
Page 6, Senate Bill 309.
Chair calls on Senator Jordan, the senator from Isle of Wight County.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the bill pass, and speaking to the bill.
The senator may continue.
Thank you. Senate Bill 309 is a town charter change that was requested by the town of Smithfield that is bringing the charter into code as enacted by the special session of 2021, which moved May elections to November. Hope it would be the will of the body to pass the bill.
The question is, shall the bill Chair recognizes Senator Stanley, the senator from Franklin County.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to see if the patron of Senate Bill 309 would yield for a question.
Will Senator Jordan yield for a question?
Madam President, I yield.
Senator yields. Senator Stanley has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I would ask the gentlelady, is Smithfield, the town of Smithfield, what is the square mileage and the actual population of that area?
Senator Jordan has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I would say to the gentleman, the town population is 8,867. The square mileage is 10.65 square miles, including water. Just in case you're also going to ask, the number of words in the bill is 1,083 with 5,886 characters. And I would also add, the senator, if he would ever like to visit, he might want to tread lightly if he would ever like to have a Smithfield ham biscuit again.
Will the gentlelady yield for another question?
Senator Jordan.
I shall yield.
The senator yields. Senator Stanley has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I would ask the gentlelady, Smithfield, Virginia, is home to the world's oldest edible ham. I would ask the gentlelady, Madam President, how old is that ham? What kind of instrument does that ham actually wear? And what was the purpose of that ham prior to it finding its way into a museum in Smithfield, Virginia?
Senator Jordan has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I would say to the gentleman that the world's oldest ham just celebrated the birthday. I was actually at the party at the Historic Museum in the town of Smithfield. I believe he just celebrated his 110th birthday. I could be wrong. It's been a long time. But I would say that the ham was put up by the Gwaltney family, which was the original founder and packager of the Smithfield ham.
Madam President.
Senator Stanley.
Will the gentlelady yield for one final question?
Will the senator from Isle of Wight yield for another question?
I will, Madam President.
Senator yields. Senator from Franklin County has
Thank you, Madam President. If the gentlelady would take into consideration about the world's oldest ham being 120 years old, that it wears a brass collar and once was a man's pet ham, can the gentlelady tell me what was the name of the pet ham?
Senator Jordan has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. To the senator, I would say, I believe he goes by Hammy now in modern day, but that ham doesn't look a day over 119.
President, my next question would have been, what is the largest ham in Virginia? But we all know that is the gentleman from Hanover. So that was too easy a question. I didn't want to have to do it. Thank you, ma'am.
The question is, shall Senate Bill 309 pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. Senator Jordan's first bill passes.
Regular calendar Senate bills on third reading. Senate Bill 8, a bill relating to notary public or electronic notary public application for recommission.
Senator Reeves, the senator from Orange.
Thank you, Madam President. Ask the bill passed. Speaking of the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Madam President, this just brings the notary, those that are notaries or the office of notaries into the 21st century by allowing them as they go to requalify as a notary. I myself am one. It used to be all paper process. You had to go to the courthouse, had to spend a lot of time. I found out in committee that at one time, legislators were allowed to give the oath of office for folks that had to be notarized, and they were overwhelmed with requests. As we move into the 21st century, one of the things that you still had to do was go to the courthouse and swear an oath, even though you're in good standing and everything else. So this just takes that process, says if you're in good standing as a notary and you go through the electronic process of renewing your credentials, that you don't have to go down to the courthouse to swear an oath if you're in good standing. I have talked to the Secretary of the Commonwealth. She's going to look at putting that process within that electronic process as well. So I'd ask the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 1.
Ayes 39, noes 1. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 112, Colonial Heights City of, amending charter relating to duties of city manager, etc.
Chair recognizes Senator Sturdivant, the senator from Colonial Heights.
Madam President, I move that the bill pass. And speaking to the bill,
the senator has the floor.
Madam President, members of the Senate, this is a charter change bill that was brought to me at the request of the City Council of Colonial Heights. It brings their city charter up to modern date, and most specifically, it addresses the city attorney's office, changes the name of the city attorney from the law department to the office of the city attorney. Previously, the city attorney had been the attorney for both city council and school board. School board now has their own outside counsel, and so the city attorney is just the attorney for the City Council of Colonial Heights. And I'd ask that the bill pass, Madam President.
The question, Chair recognizes Senator Stanley, the senator from Franklin County.
I rise to request if the gentleman would yield for a question.
Will the senator from Colonial Heights yield for a question?
I'll yield, Madam
The
President.
senator yields. Senator Stanley has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I would ask the gentleman, you've been gone 4 years, and you come back, and the best you can do, first bill up is a charter bill. Is that correct, sir?
Senator from Colonial Heights has the floor.
Madam President, Colonial Heights is a new jurisdiction that I'm representing. It is an extraordinary city, a vibrant city, and I am honored to help it change its charter.
Senator Stanley.
Will the gentleman yield for another question?
Further question, Senator.
I'll yield.
The senator yields. Senator Stanley has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I would ask the gentleman, did all of he and the new senators get together and decide that the only way they were going to get a bill passed was a charter bill, except for the gentlelady from Loudoun County?
Senator Sturdivant has the floor.
Madam President, I don't know what that question meant, and so I would ask the senator from Franklin if he could rephrase or repeat whatever it was he was asking.
Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll ask it this way, in more of an easy way to understand. It seems to me that every single one, with the exception of one of our new senators so far, have decided for themselves, in order to get a bill passed, that they take it to the vaunted local government committee, and it's a charter bill because they're too afraid to have any big agenda ideas like the gentleman from Colonial Heights. Is that true?
Senator Sturdivant has the floor.
Madam President, I remember my time on local government previously and the chairman at the time. And so, yes, speaking personally for myself, I had been expecting Senator Stanley would be chairman of that committee and that would be an easy mark in order to get a bill through on. I learned that Chairman McPike was the chairman. It was much, much more difficult to get through with Chairman McPike over local government than the senator from Franklin. But I'm still grateful we were able to get it through that very difficult committee.
I thank the gentleman.
Chair recognizes Senator Boysko, the senator from Northern Fairfax County.
Madam President, I have a question for the patron.
Will the senator yield for a question?
I'll yield.
The senator from Colonial Heights yields. Senator Boysko has the floor.
Madam President, I'm just wondering where in Colonial Heights the gentleman from the Colonial Heights lives.
Senator Sturdivant.
Madam President, consistent with long-standing precedent in this Senate, Colonial Heights was actually previously a part of Chesterfield County, which many of you may not know. And so we still consider Colonial Heights our sister community. But I'm very honored to represent Chesterfield, where I live, as well as Colonial Heights, and proud to be, I think, the first state senator of Colonial Heights.
Senator Boyce.
Madam President, follow-up question for the patron.
Senator Boysko.
Madam President, I would be interested to know if he is going to be putting in a bill that would annex Colonial Heights to put it into Chesterfield County.
Senator Sturdivant has the floor.
Madam President, I would answer the senator by saying no. Colonial Heights has the great honor of being the location of the largest Arby's in the entire world. And that is something that, while we would love to have in Chesterfield, we will let Colonial Heights continue to be the sole owner of the largest Arby's in the world.
Madam President, no further questions. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator McPike, the senior senator from Prince William County.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for a motion to re-refer this bill. In further review, Madam President, of this bill, it's clearly solely dealing with attorneys, and attorneys should be dealt with in courts of justice. And maybe for some further, I'll withdraw that motion, Madam President, but we definitely need to do a little bit harder work in local government. Thank you.
I thank the senator. The question is, shall Senate Bill 112 pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 2.
Ayes 38, noes 2. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 201, Virginia Critical Operation for a Disappeared Child Initiative Alert Program established.
Senator York. Senator Diggs, the senator from York.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the bill pass, and speaking to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you. Madam President, this bill is an effort to help find our lost and missing children who do not meet the criteria of an Amber Alert, with the main objective of an Amber Alert is that the child is presumed to be abducted. There are many children out there who are lost or missing by other means other than abduction. They may have various problems, and this is an attempt to get the state police along with local law enforcement to develop policies that will help the community, the media, and law enforcement come together to quickly find children who may be lost or missing.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, nays 0.
Ayes 40, noes 0. The question was already put, Senator.
Madam President.
Well, Madam President, I have a motion.
Speaking on the
Having voted on the prevailing side by which we just passed Sheriff Diggs' bill, I'd ask that we reconsider that motion.
The senator, unfortunately, was not recognized and the vote was already put. We cannot reconsider.
Why would we not be able to reconsider? Yes, we can reconsider.
I do have to recognize you first.
How could you not recognize me? I'm right here in front of you. We've known each other for years.
For what purpose does the senator from Lynchburg rise?
You do recognize me, thank goodness. Madam President, to ask we need to reconsider
the vote by
the vote by which we just passed Sheriff Senator Diggs' bill.
The question is, shall the vote by which the Senate Bill 201 passed be reconsidered? All those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 37, noes 3.
Ayes 37, noes 3. The vote is reconsidered. Senator Diggs.
Yes, Madam President. Oh,
If the senator would explain his
Madam
bill.
President, I move the bill pass and speaking to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
Once again, this bill is an attempt to create a study to help find lost and missing children who do not meet the criteria of the Amber Alert. The criteria is less, and we hope to do all that we can for our lost and missing children and bring them back to their families as quickly as we can.
Madam President.
Senator Peake.
Madam President, I rise to ask the senator from York County a question, if he would
Will
yield.
the senator from York County yield for a question?
Yes, Madam President.
The senator yields. Senator Obenshain has the floor.
Madam President, I would ask the gentleman, why does he want to study this? Doesn't he want to find these children?
Senator Diggs has the floor.
Yes, sir. We're doing all that we can to find our children as quickly as we can, although we need to make sure that we are doing everything that is within the law and that we bring all the parties together to make sure that their needs are met and that we can accomplish this as quickly as we can. And I know the state police moves at a snail's pace, but I would like to work with all of our localities together to get this done as perfectly as we can.
I thank the gentleman.
The question is, shall Senate Bill 201 pass? All those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, noes 0. Senator Diggs' Senate Bill 201 bill passes, his first bill.
Madam President.
Chair recognizes the senator from Hanover, Senator McDougal.
Thank you, Madam President. Could we reconsider the vote on Senate Bill 112 so a few members could not be caught by your quick closing of the roll?
The question is, shall the vote by which Senate Bill 112 passed be reconsidered? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, noes 0. The bill is reconsidered. Senator Sturtevant, the senator from Colonial Heights.
Madam President, I move that the bill pass and ask that the body vote in favor of this measure. Thank you.
The question is, shall Senate Bill 112 pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk We'll close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 332, misdemeanor maximum term of confinement.
Chair recognizes Senator Salim, the senator from Central Fairfax County.
Madam President, I move the bill pass and speak to the bill.
The senator may continue.
Madam President, for the record, this is not a charter bill. This bill does one thing. It changes the maximum term of confinement for Class 1 misdemeanor in the Commonwealth of Virginia from 365 days to 364 days. Under federal immigration law, Class 1 misdemeanor that carry up to 365 days of incarceration can lead to immigration detention, ineligibility for asylum, and even deportation. By voting for this bill, you're voting to enable federal immigration judges and authorities to exercise their discretion and affording them the opportunity to look at the individual holistically before making an immigration determination. I ask this body to pass this bill.
Chair recognizes Senator Sorovell, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. Will the senator from Central Fairfax County rise for a question?
Will Senator Salim rise and yield for a question?
I would.
The senator yields. Senator Sorovell has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. So, Senator, I think you heard my my colloquy earlier with the junior senator from Loudoun, and the hypothetical I raised. I was concerned about the senator from Franklin County's behavior if he were to have a protective order, if I would have a protective order against him and he would potentially violate it. I'm just curious, the violation of a protective order is a Class 1 misdemeanor. And I'm concerned that taking this from 365 to 364 might not be enough to deter the senator from Franklin County from violating a protective order. Are you concerned about that as well?
Senator Salim has the floor.
Madam President, I'm only concerned if Senator Stanley is trying to, insinuate violence against me.
All right.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Chair recognizes Senator Stanley, the senator from Franklin County.
Speak to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
Madam President, this is a monumental day. Many of our new members are having their first bills passed, and perhaps my good friend from where I grew up, we should have a charter bill come up first. But I must, even as a criminal defense attorney, as a lawyer, profess that I stand respectfully against this bill, with much respect to the patron, because I think what we're doing here is we're creating the criminal code for two classes of people, and the law that applies to somebody with 365 days in a Class 1 misdemeanor doesn't apply to someone else if they're not a citizen, or that we're lowering the bar for non-citizens who by committing a Class 1 misdemeanor, which if you look at in our books, these are not unserious crimes, would then be ineligible for asylum or entry into this country. We don't do that for our own citizens. I think it's bad policy for us to do it here, respectfully. I understand what we're trying to do here. This is such a wonderful country, and I understand that people from all over the world want to come here and live here and taste freedom. But when you come here and you want to live here and become a part of the fabric of the United States of America, then part and parcel of that is being a good citizen, not breaking our laws. There will be some occasions where a person who is charged and brought before the bar of justice, the Commonwealth's attorney looks at it. The Commonwealth's attorney has that freedom and that ability to lessen a first-degree misdemeanor to a second degree or something else, or defer disposition, take it under advisement for dismissal based on the performance of certain things. We do it all the time for citizens and non-citizens alike, and they're treated the same. Sometimes I must profess that I'm in a court of law and I may be representing someone who's not a citizen of the United States, may not even be legal, and they are sensitive to the issue. That's called discretion in a court of law. But when we write the code now to favor one set of people over people who are citizens of the United States and brought before the bar of justice, I think we are setting a precedent that will be a slippery slope for us later in life. Madam President, for those reasons, I oppose your first bill, Senator, and I do so with respect. But I think what we need to do is treat everybody the same. And from there, we build not only a great nation, but a great society. Thank you, Madam President.
Chair recognizes Senator Hashmi, the senator from Chesterfield.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I'm not quite sure that I understand the opposition.
For what purpose does the senator rise?
I rise to speak in support of the legislation.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm not sure I quite understand the objection that the senator from Franklin County has raised. I don't understand the premise that this is creating two categories of individuals in our legal system. This would be applicable to all individuals who are undergoing the process of possible conviction for Class 1 misdemeanor, not a separate pathway for individuals who are immigrants. The situation that faces us, and this is something that other states have already addressed, the situation that faces us is that as someone who goes through the criminal justice system as an immigrant, as a legal resident, as a green card holder, if they are charged with a Class 1 misdemeanor, their information is automatically sent to ICE. And it doesn't even matter whether the individual receives a sentence or is actually not criminally sentenced by the judge. The deportation process does not depend on the actual sentence that's applied to the individual, but it is a potential sentence. So if the judge can apply a 1 year or more sentence as a potential sentence simply on the basis of the category, the individual can face possible deportation at the hands of the federal court. And so that is the main issue that we are trying to address, not creating two categories. This would be applicable to everyone, citizens as well as legal residents. And in fact, Nevada, Washington State, New York, Colorado, and Utah, and other states have followed suit and changed their misdemeanor sentencing in order to address this situation. So we're talking about individuals who may have lived in this country for 14, 15, 16 years. I, in fact, had a student who came to this country as a child, a legal resident, but at the age of 18 had committed shoplifting. And while that is not something that we certainly approve, her sentence should not be deportation back to a country that she had very, very little familiarity with. And yet that is the situation that she faced. She was on the verge of being deported to a country where she did not speak the language, to a people that she did not know, leaving behind her own family here in in Virginia. And so this is a critical bill that seeks to address a wrong, seeks to give proper punishment, but not to impose the punishment of deportation.
Chair recognizes Senator Peake, the senator from Lynchburg.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to speak to the bill.
Senator may continue.
Thank you, Madam President. When this bill came up in committee, I asked our counsel, how long has the Commonwealth of Virginia had a 365-day penalty for misdemeanors? And his answer basically was, since the beginning of the Commonwealth of Virginia, since we have had misdemeanors in the Commonwealth of Virginia, the sentencing period, the maximum sentence has been 365 days. And once you commit a felony, it becomes greater than 365 days. It becomes 1 year to life in prison or for felonies. The problem that I have with this bill is that because we now have an incredibly large amount of illegal immigrants in the country and in the Commonwealth. In fact, we've had approximately 8 million people come into the country illegally in the past 3 years. Our border on the southern side is completely open. There's no attempt to stop individuals. Individuals who turn themselves in are giving report dates in 2030 for their asylum hearings. And we're asking to change a 300-year-old law of the Commonwealth, and in most states, that a misdemeanor carries a penalty of 365 days. Now, just because you commit a misdemeanor that has a penalty period of 365 days, that does not mean you will be deported. And that is not up to the Commonwealth of Virginia. That is up completely to the federal authorities. But it does not mandate that they be deported back to a different country, the country of their origin, if they commit a DUI or a shoplifting or some other misdemeanor. Now, of course, if it's a violent crime, violent misdemeanor, that may be a different issue. But I appreciate the senator's efforts and that it is his first bill, and I hate to speak out against his first bill, but I do not believe in changing this part of our code, and I will speak and vote against the bill.
Chair recognizes Senator Sorovell, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. Speaking to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you. Well, first of all, probably as the chairman of the Courts of Justice Committee, I probably should have docketed a better bill earlier for the senator from Central Fairfax as his first bill. But notwithstanding that, this is a good bill. And Madam President, I'm a little concerned about we're debating things that don't have anything to do with this bill, like people who are here on an undocumented basis. This bill doesn't apply to people or affect people who are undocumented, because people who are undocumented are already deportable. This has the remedy. What this bill seeks to remedy is to remedy unjust circumstances for people who are here present legally. And as someone who represents a Senate district in this state where 1 out of every 4 people I represent was born in another country, and a county where that's the case, I see this a lot in a daily basis, talking to people when I knock doors, and I see it on a daily basis in the courthouse. And what this bill seeks to remedy are the situations like those described by the senior senator from Chesterfield. The people come to this country and obtain legal status for a lot of different reasons. Some go through a visa lottery process. There's a lot of people came here from El Salvador when there was a TPS that was granted back in the day. People come here fleeing domestic violence, fleeing gang violence, and they're granted a visa to stay. Some of those get converted from visas into green cards, and many of those become U.S. citizens. But until you're a United States citizen, if you have a green card, and if you have a visa, whether it's for any of those statuses, or maybe you even came here because you got a work visa, because you're working you have a college degree or a graduate degree and you're working in some technology job in the Dulles corridor or something, you are subject to deportation if you convict under the law of the Fourth Circuit, the federal circuit which governs this area. You're subject to deportation if you're convicted of a Class 1 misdemeanor that meets certain criteria, such as petty larceny or other crimes involving misdemeanor crimes involving moral turpitude. I can tell the body that I cannot tell you how many situations I've seen where someone had immigration status, their lawyer didn't know, didn't ask, or didn't know the law, and told them, hey, you know what? I know you're charged with this $201 shoplifting. We can plead you to the misdemeanor. Don't worry about it. Not a problem. Not going to get deported. Or maybe they didn't even have the immigration conversation. 1 year, 5 years, 15 years later, ICE comes knocking. Says, by the way, you had this misdemeanor conviction 15 years ago. In lots of these situations, the entire family has now come to the United States. There's nobody left in the country they came from. They fled the country for, say, religious persecution or other kinds of persecution. But because of a Class 1 petty larceny misdemeanor conviction, they have to have their entire life uprooted and sent home. I've seen people that have come here, establish thriving businesses, have their family here, they have their children here, but because of a mistake they made and bad legal advice or no legal advice, they end up having their whole life turned upside down by this kind of stuff. Those are the people that this bill is focused on, not people who are present who don't have papers. And I also just want to make clear, this doesn't change the law of felonies. If you get convicted of a felony, that's a whole different issue, subject to deportation. This has to do with very minor misdemeanors, and often things that happened a long time ago for people that didn't exactly know what they were pleading to. It's a good idea. It's a good bill. That's why it's passed in states like Utah. It's not really partisan in a lot of places, and I think we should try and keep it that way because we have a lot of people in this state that this could help, and I hope we would pass it.
Chair recognizes Senator Stewart, the senator from King George.
Thank you, Madam President. Would the gentleman from Central Fairfax rise for a question?
Will the senator from Central Fairfax County yield for a question?
Madam President, I yield for a question.
Senator yields. Senator Stewart has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd first ask the senator if there are any statistics as to how many people this has happened to in Virginia in the last year or two. Oh, I'm sorry. If the senator knows if there are any statistics out there that could tell us how many folks this has happened to in the last year or two in Virginia.
Senator Salim has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. To my colleague, we don't have the statistics. However, this would impact thousands of people if we don't, fix this issue that's minor, where other states have fixed.
Senator Stewart.
Another question, Madam President.
Will the senator yield for another question? Senator Salim yields. Senator Stewart has the floor.
Specifically, Madam President, the other senator from Fairfax, but I can't remember which party he's from now, just referenced that he was aware of individuals that this had happened to, and I'm just trying to get a sense. I understand that people could be in jeopardy, but my understanding is that ICE is not really active doing this. So how many, have we had anybody that this happened to in the last few years? And there's a reason I asked this question.
Senator Salim has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, there are thousands of people that would be impacted by this. And for clarification, it would not impact undocumented immigrants. It would be green card holders who have been good citizens for many, many years, folks that I have known personally. But the fact that they committed a simple misdemeanor would result in eligibility for deportation.
So, Madam President, just to make sure I understand the gentleman. So,
further questions, Senator Stewart.
Well, I want to make sure I understand what he's saying.
Will the gentleman?
There would be a question. So, if I understand the gentleman correctly, this is a threat, but we don't actually know that it's happening to anybody. Is that correct?
Senator Salim.
Thank you, Madam President. We have a lot of anecdotal stories on what really happens, and I think the senator from Eastern Fairfax has indicated some of his clients who have gone through similar issues as well. And across the whole nation, other states have solved this issue to ensure that the judicial system does get clarification on how they handle those.
I thank the gentleman. Would he yield for one more question, Madam President?
Will the senator from Central Fairfax County yield? The senator yields. Senator Stewart has the floor.
Madam President, and so we see there's an amendment to this bill which was adopted by the body that had to do with the criminal sentencing guidelines that another member picked up. Has the gentleman looked to see if there are other ramifications involving the reduction of this sentence from 365 to 364 days?
Senator Salim has the floor.
Madam President, it has been looked through the legal clerks on courts, and for that reason, the amendment was made to ensure that we confine with the 365 to 364 and would not have additional ramification elsewhere.
I thank the gentleman, Madam President. I thank the gentleman. I'm sorry, I'm not speaking very well, am I?
Thank you,
Speaking
Senator.
to the bill, Madam President.
The senator may continue.
Excuse me, Madam President. I agree with my friend from Franklin. But I think I'd say it a little bit differently. This bill is being put forward to protect one class of persons. And that's not what we do in Virginia or this country. We all have to live and abide by the same rules. And I'm very sympathetic to someone who's been here for a long time. But you know what? I don't drink and drive because I know I may get in trouble. And I think everybody needs to abide by those same rules. And I think when we single out one protected class of persons and try to adopt laws for them especially, it is the wrong approach and it sends the wrong signal. And I don't really understand how this is going to be effective anyway. This is an important issue at the federal level. We could do this dance for 20 times and we're never going to get anywhere. So it seems to me we need to have this addressed federally, let them determine the best approach at looking at this and not try to go back and forth and changing these things to suit one class of person. I'm going to have to vote against the bill. I apologize because it is your first bill, but I have to vote against this one.
Chair recognizes Senator Eben, the senator from Alexandria.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to ask if the senator from Eastern Fairfax, who represents the part of Fairfax I used to represent, would yield for a question.
Will Senator Salim rise and yield?
No,
President, yes.
Senator from Eastern Fairfax.
Senator from Eastern Fairfax yields. Senator yields. Senator Eben has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I would ask the senator if he has a sense how many people this situation may have impacted in the past in Virginia.
Senator Sorovell has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I appreciate the senator asking me a question because I'm not allowed to speak for a third time. But I would just note that the data that I was made aware of by organizations that track these matters is that there's an organization called the Transactional Records Access Clearinghouse at Syracuse University who has indicated that between 1991 and 2023, 3,305 removal proceedings were initiated in Virginia immigration courts on the basis of aggravated felonies, which can include this because of the way the Fourth Circuit defines a felony as a 365-day versus a 364-day offense. And then there's another 5,753 people that were removed on the basis of other criminal, which can include these types of charges. So there's about 10,000 people potentially that were removed, but those numbers can include people that would not be covered by this bill. It's 10,000 or less is basically the answer to the question. Nobody knows the exact number because it's not tracked in that way. But I can tell you, having practiced law, that I've seen it repeatedly. I can't tell you I've seen it on a weekly basis or something, but I've seen it regularly. I've personally had to deal with it as an attorney. And I've had other lawyers come to me, and I've seen other lawyers talking about it a lot because it's every lawyer's worst nightmare because it's a malpractice trap, and it happens a lot.
I thank the gentleman.
Chair recognizes Senator Marsden, the senior senator from Fairfax County. Microphone, Senator.
Thank you, Madam President. Speak to the bill.
The senator may continue.
There are circumstances where we do have different classes of individuals. I know we have, when you're 18 years old, you can go and serve your country in the military, but you can't buy alcohol. So we've created two classes of people there. We have status offenses that affect young people that don't affect older people. So we try to recognize the difference in circumstances that people get themselves into, either by age or some circumstance of life. We try to be kind and understanding to make sure that those needs can be identified and recognized. And I don't think this is too much of a recognition to go through to people who are in very unusual circumstances, just as youth are sometimes, and just are many people here in our Commonwealth whose statuses happen to be somewhat different. Thank you, Madam President.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 21, noes 19.
Ayes 21, noes 19. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 375, New Market, Town of, new charter, previous charter repealed.
Chair recognizes Senator French, the senator from Shenandoah County.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the amendments to substitute be agreed to.
You're moving your bill, Senator?
Okay, Madam President, I'm sorry. I move that the bill pass and ready to speak to the bill.
The senator may continue.
I'm here to talk about the bill number 375, New Market Town Charter. This is a bill to update the town's charter that was back in 1972, and they talked about within the town council and unanimously agreed to bring it up to date state code, and that's about all I have for it.
Chair recognizes Senator Obenshain, the senator from Rockingham County.
Madam President, I would ask if the gentleman from Shenandoah County would yield for a question.
Will the gentleman from Shenandoah County yield for a question?
Thank you, Madam President. Yes, I would.
The senator yields. Senator Obenshain.
Madam President, I would like to know how this charter change impacts people with permanent residency status.
Senator French has the floor.
Well, Madam President, I'd say that they have permanent resident status, that they're pretty happy in the town of Newmarket, and they agree upon this, and they'll be happy to be in a town with an updated charter.
Senator.
Madam President, further question.
Further question, Senator French.
Yes, Madam
Will you
President.
yield? The senator yields. Senator Obenshain has the floor.
Madam President, first of all, two-part question. I would ask the gentleman if he's familiar, just a yes or no, familiar with the acronym, what would JD? Familiar with that?
Senator French has the floor.
Madam President, no.
Oh, my. Madam President, that is the acronym for what would Jesus do? So, Madam President, my question is, what would JV do? WWJVD.
Senator French has the floor.
Madam President, just hold on just a second. I think he would recommend for this new town charter.
Madam President, I would ask the gentleman a further question.
Will Senator French yield for a further question?
Madam President, certainly.
The senator yields. Senator Obenshain has the floor.
Would the gentleman please tell the members what the acronym WWJVD stands for?
Senator French has the floor.
Madam President, I think we've already talked about this on the floor, and it got me embarrassed before, and it still does, but I guess it's past Senator Jill Holtzman Vogel. She is very fond of this town also, and I think she would be much in favor of bringing it to current laws within Virginia.
Madam President, I would ask, is former Senator Jill Holtzman Vogel, is she fond of this bill, or is she fond of the senator carrying this bill?
Ooh. Senator French has the floor.
Madam President, like to respond to Senator Obenshain, or the senator from Rockingham, excuse me. I'd say Senator Vogel's very passionate about a lot of things in Virginia, and that I believe with the business that we're conducting here in this wonderful historic capital, it would be about the charter for the town of Newmarket.
Madam President, that response invites many further lines of inquiry. But I will refrain, and I thank the senator from Shenandoah County for his candid response.
Senator McPike, the senior senator from Prince William County.
Thank you, Madam President. Would the gentleman from Shenandoah yield for a question?
Will the senator from Shenandoah rise and yield?
Madam President, I do yield.
Senator French yields. Senator McPike has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Now, the good senator did struggle a bit with a few questions in local government, and it is my sincere and deepest hope that he has done a little bit more research since Monday morning's committee, now that it is Thursday. And so I'd ask the question to the senator, how many governors were born in the town of Newmarket?
Senator French has the floor.
Madam President, I'd like to respond. So it's been brought to my attention that there is an individual that is a born resident of Newmarket that became a governor of in Tennessee, I think, if I'm correct. And his last name is Franklin. No, so, I read it, but I must have forgot through all this confusion today.
Madam President, would the gentleman yield a further question?
Will Senator French yield for a further question?
The individual's last name was Severe. Yes.
Will the senator yield?
Yes, ma'am.
The senator
yield.
The senator yields. Senator McPike has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. And so I guess the gentleman has somehow found his way to an answer. Follow-up to that is, how many states was that individual a governor of?
Senator French has the floor.
Madam President, I'd like to try to answer this question. I'd like to phone a friend, but I don't know that we have time for that. I'd like to take a stab at it, and I think my answer would be one.
Madam President, would the senator from Franklin County yield for a question?
Will the senator from Franklin County rise and yield?
Madam President, based on the performance on this side...
Will the senator from...
I'm answering.
Oh, okay.
Based on the performance on this side of the aisle, I'm not going to save this guy. He's all yours. But sure.
Was that a yes, Senator?
Yes,
The senator from Franklin County yields. Senator McPike has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This seems to be like a phone a friend portion of the hour, and so since the senator from Franklin County, would it be a true statement that Sir Governor Sevier was in fact the governor of the state of Franklin?
Madam President, I would answer my good friend that the governor was not only the governor of the free state of Franklin, but also of the later state of Tennessee. So that would mean that the gentleman from Newmarket was a governor for two states. And therefore, Madam President, I believe in order to save our new senator from Shenandoah, that we ought to just ask him right now, if he promises to bring us all milk every Monday morning, we'll vote for your bill. And I think that's how we take care of this right now.
Madam President, very satisfactory answer. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Senator Durant, the senator from Stafford.
Thank you, Madam President. Would the gentleman from Shenandoah rise for a question?
Will the senator from Shenandoah County rise and yield?
Thank you, Madam President. Yes, I will.
The senator yields. Senator Durant has the floor.
Senator, I'm wondering, as I read through your bill, if you have a view on limited government.
Well,
Senator French has the floor.
Madam President, I'd like to respond. Yeah, I've read through the bill, and I do have a view on limited government. And it's through this bill, they put in code the way that citizens can read it, and hopefully they don't have to keep coming in and asking for more laws and stuff to be passed. So the smaller we can get it, the better.
Madam President, additional question?
Further question, will the senator yield?
Thank you, Madam President.
I would just ask the senator from Shenandoah if you intend to continue to add so many words to the Virginia Code as you move forward in your career as a senator next 4 years.
Senator French has the floor.
Madam President, to respond to that, if my seatmate contests that I'm not much on adding many words to anything. So I'm a man of few words, so the answer to that question is no. I don't plan on adding a lot of words to stuff. It gets complicated for me.
Thank you, Madam President. We'll hold you to that.
Okay.
Thank you.
The question is, shall Senate Bill 375 pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, no 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The bill passes.
Uncontested calendar, Senate bill on second reading. Senate Bill 116, Retail Sales and Use Tax Holiday establishes an annual tax holiday that takes place in August. Uncontested calendar, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Chair recognizes Senator Sorovell, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that all Senate bills on first reading on the uncontested.
No, this is Senator Lucas' bill. Senator Lucas.
I'd move the committee substitute.
The question is, shall the substitute be adopted?
Aye.
All those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, I'm sorry.
Aye.
This back and forth is. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? Those in favor of that motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is adopted. Senator Sorovell. Engrossed in advance.
Oh, we do that? Okay. I'd move the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading.
The question is, shall the bill be engrossed in advance to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed in advance to its third reading.
Uncontested calendar, Senate bills on first reading.
Chair recognizes Senator Sorovell.
Thank you, Madam President. Now I would move that all Senate bills on the first reading on the uncontested and regular calendars, pages 10 through 11, Senate bills 165 to 365, that the rules be suspended and the first constitutional reading of the titles be dispensed with.
The question is, shall the rules be suspended and the first constitutional reading of the titles of Senate bills on the uncontested and regular calendars, pages 10 and 11, Senate bills 165 through Senate bills 365, be dispensed with? All in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, no 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The reading of the titles is dispensed with.
Memorial resolutions.
No. We need to go back for the day. Okay. Senator Sorovell.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd move that all the said bills be passed by for the day.
The question is, shall the Senate bills on the uncontested and regular calendars now on their second reading go by for the day? Those in favor of that motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bills will go by for the day.
Memorial resolutions.
Chair recognizes again Senator Surville, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the memorial resolutions on page 12, HJR 4 through SJR 37, be considered in a block in the usual manner, waiving the reading of the resolutions thereof with the understanding that any senator desiring a resolution be removed from the block will do so after the clerk has called the number on the resolution.
The question is, shall the memorial resolutions on page 12, HJR 4 through Senate Joint Resolution 37, be considered in the block in the usual manner, waiving the reading of the resolutions thereof with the understanding that any senator desiring a resolution removed from the block will do so after the clerk has read the title of the resolution. All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The resolutions are before us in the block. The clerk will now read the titles of the memorial resolutions.
House Joint Resolution 4, celebrating the life of Joseph Brian Hannigan. House Joint Resolution 11, celebrating the life of Emmett Bruce Marshall. House Joint Resolution 31, celebrating the life of Lori Melissa Thomas. House Joint Resolution 59, celebrating the life of the Honorable Victor Blake McKinney. House Joint Resolution 62, celebrating the life of Charles Wayne Payne, Sr. Senate Joint Resolution 29, celebrating the life of George M. Hampton, Ph.D. Senate Joint Resolution 35, celebrating the life of Deborah Jane Griggs. Senate Joint Resolution 37, celebrating the life of Tafari Jawara Campbell.
The resolutions will be agreed to in the usual manner. All those in favor of agreeing to the memorial resolutions will please rise. The resolutions are agreed to.
Commending resolutions.
Chair calls on Senator from Eastern Fairfax County, Senator Surville.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the commending resolutions on pages 13 through 14, HJR 16 through SR 4, be considered in a block by a voice vote, waiving the reading of the resolutions with the understanding that any senator desiring a resolution be removed from the block will do so after the clerk has read the number of the resolution.
The question is, shall the commending resolutions on pages 13 and 14, House Joint Resolution 16 through Senate Resolution 4, be considered in the block by voice vote, waiving the reading of the resolutions with the understanding that any senator desiring a resolution removed from the block will do so after the clerk has read the number of the resolution. All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The resolutions are before us in the block. The clerk will read the numbers of the resolution.
House Joint Resolutions 16, 66, 72, Senate Joint Resolution 13.
Madam President.
30.
For what purpose does the senator from Hampton rise?
Can SJR 13 come out of the block and by for the day?
Without objection, SJ 13 is out of the block and by for the day.
SJR 30, 38, 39, 40, 41, SR 4.
The question is, shall the resolutions be agreed to? That is, all resolutions except Senate Joint Resolution 13, which is out of the block and by for the day. All in favor of agreeing to the resolutions will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The resolutions are agreed to.
Inquiry of the clerk.
Yes, sir.
Does that complete the calendar?
Yes, sir.
Is there any other business? Chair recognizes Senator Reeves, the senator from Orange.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for a point of personal privilege.
Senator may continue.
Members of the chamber, I think in 12 years, this will be my 4th time to stand up on the floor of the Senate on a personal privilege. This morning, I had the opportunity to sit in Senate Finance in the Subcommittee on Health and Human Resources for the first time ever, but I heard something about 30% of our money goes into that committee and what we pay for and some other things. And we got a brief this morning about deaths in the Commonwealth. Deaths in the Commonwealth. 2022, we had 2,619 deaths from opioid or overdoses. So I asked the question, how many of those numbers are from fentanyl? 75.8% of those deaths are from fentanyl. 2,050 individuals lost their lives due to fentanyl. We progressed, kind of went down the line. We got some other stuff. We got the foster care. We have 4,353 kids in foster care right now. And I remember when this chamber took up foster care, when we found out we were last in the country for kids who age out of foster care, and we're one of the richest states in the country. And I remember specifically working together across the aisle to fix those issues. Anybody want to guess how many of those foster care kids are in foster care because of opioid addictions in those families? 70% of our kids in foster care are because of opioid abuse. That's 3,047 of our children. The issue of fentanyl-related deaths is a serious problem, folks. And we often focus on addressing the root causes, prevention, treatment, but we have to have strong enforcement. And we've taken some of those steps last year. We voted in a bipartisan way, I think it was almost unanimous, to make fentanyl a Class 4 felony, separate and distinct charge. But I found out also today that in the Courts of Justice Committee yesterday, there was an effort to make drug dealers who are killing our people and our kids and destroying our families, we don't want to hold them accountable. You can't fix a problem holistically unless you make it bad for these people. Many of you know I worked undercover narcotics. It's scourge on our people. These people who sell drugs, they don't care about our citizens. They care about money. But you have to make it so bad for them to want to have to do it, they're not willing to take the risk. Nothing we've done right now has detoured them. None of it. We as a chamber have a moral obligation to take care of these 3,047 kids that are in foster care due to their parents getting addicted to drugs, and the 2,619 deaths that we had in 2022 due to opioid addiction, all of those attributed to fentanyl. Folks, we're killing our people. If we don't step up and in a bipartisan, bicameral way, start figuring out solutions to these problems, what are you going to do? We're spending 30% of our budget on health and human services, and a big portion of that, we've done phenomenal work on kinship care and getting these kids with family members, all these things. But until we address some enforcement on fentanyl and going after drug dealers, murderers, we're going to continue to see these numbers rise. Thank you, Madam President.
Chair recognizes the senator from Arlington, Senator Favola.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise on a point of personal privilege.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I, too, was in the briefing that my friend, Senator Reeves, just spoke of. And I just want to caution the body that we have many avenues that we must go down to create the safety net and the criminal justice system that will be necessary to actually attack the fentanyl problem. It is not just a criminal justice system. We know that we've had issues with lack of counseling, lack of affordable housing, families struggling with poverty. All of these factors are intertwined with the fentanyl problem. So it's not a solo problem that you can just attack by going after drug dealers. Absolutely, we should have a strong enforcement policy. But we also have to have a policy that reduces the demand for fentanyl and reduces the market. And I just don't want to get us wrapped around the answer of there's one approach. We know there's not just one approach. We have to take a multifaceted approach. And I put this before us because we will be seeing many bills in the upcoming session that will provide somewhat of a pathway forward, perhaps, for reducing the fentanyl problem. But yes, we all have to work on it, and I hope we can do so in a bipartisan fashion. Thank you, Madam President.
Is there any other business to come before the Senate? Hearing none, the clerk will report any announcements on the desk.
Today, Thursday, January 18th, the Committee on Transportation will meet 30 minutes after adjournment, Senate Room B, GAB. This is a time change. 30 minutes after adjournment, Transportation. The Rehabilitation and Social Services Subcommittee on ABC will meet 15 minutes after adjournment in Senate Subcommittee Room 300, 3rd floor, GAB. Senators Rouse, Reeves, DeSteff, Jordan, Williams, Graves, Perry, and Selene. The Education and Health Subcommittee on Public Education will meet 30 minutes after adjournment, Senate Room C, GAB. Senators Van Valkenburg, Locke, Peake, Pekarsky, and Craig. The Finance and Appropriations Subcommittee on Education will meet at 3 p.m. Senate Finance and Appropriations Room, 13th floor, GAB. Senators Locke, Lucas, Obenshain, Stewart, and Hashmi. The Committee on Finance and Appropriations will meet at 4 p.m. in the Senate Finance and Appropriations Room, 13th floor, GAB. The committee will hear budget amendments to all non-committee members. Tomorrow, Friday, January 19th, the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services will meet at 8 a.m. in Senate Room A, GAB. The Finance and Appropriations Subcommittee on Capital Outlay and Transportation will meet at 8 a.m. Senate Finance and Appropriations Room, 13th floor, GAB. Senators McPike, Deeds, Locke, McDougall, Obenshain, and Boysko. The Education and Health Subcommittee on Health Professions will meet at 8:30 a.m. Senate Room C, GAB. Senators Boysko, Pillion, Bagby, Head, and Pekarsky. The Democratic Caucus will meet 1/2 hour before session, Senate Room 1, and the Republican Caucus will meet 1/2 hour before session, Senate Room 2.
Chair calls on Senator Lucas, the senator from Portsmouth.
Thank you, Madam President. Mic's not working, chair falling on. Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate do now adjourn until 11 a.m. tomorrow.
The question is, shall the Senate stand adjourned until 11 a.m. tomorrow? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The Senate stands adjourned until 11 a.m. tomorrow.